be.
It's good to have you guys back. It's good to finally be moved, even though I miss my old house. I miss my man cave and I miss my office. So if you hear it a little bit, you might hear a little bit more background noise now in future episodes of Postmortem, as there's a lot more hustle and bustle going on around while we're doing episodes. So try to excuse that, everyone. But
no worries.
I will say, and I got to do one thing quick before we get started. I got to give Katie kudos, because when we were chatting the other day, she had the idea, hey, tease them about upcoming episodes. So, you know what I did, I don't know if you guys saw it or not, I popped a little thing like, hey, coming to track, be on the lookout. We're going to do, Black Phone on Monday, even boosted it. And, I noticed some of our numbers and the Firestarter and Watcher number have started going up. So thank you, Katie. Thank you, listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Buenos dias.
And that was a great idea, and we'll try to do more of that. Although, you know what? When I boost it, people must, I saw, I don't know if you saw it on there, but somebody came on there and were like, your ad has been reported. And I was like, for what? For what? There's no porn or anything. No, there's nothing offensive. All we said was say, we're going to do an episode. And it said spam. And I'm like, it's not spam. It's advertising. I paid for a certain audience, and I got to select the audience that, people that like to go to movies, people that watch horror, people that like, so if it showed up in your thing and you don't like, then you know what? If we're not your bag of tea, I get it. You don't have to listen, but you don't have to be a jerk either.
Exactly. Not our brand, not your brand of vodka. Then, we don't have to be there. But I'm going to tell you something. Oz, it kind of makes me wonder, did you classify us under a different Black Phone? Black Phone sounds like a 70s porn movie. Okay. I'm just saying to you. All right. So you know what?
Hey, I didn't. Well, it had an image from the film. It didn't have an image of a 70s porn. It didn't have Ron Jeremy on it.
My Lord.
It was a picture of Ethan Hawke.
Oz, it's a joke. It's a joke, my friend.
I'm just saying.
Ron Jeremy's playing a different type of naughty game, if that's what the viewers are looking for.
Exactly.
Sorry, guys, gals, everyone in between. That's not happening here.
Exactly.
No. And you know what? If it's not what you're digging, then you know what? Just keep scrolling is the way I look at it. I mean, I like I said, I paid money to boost it to try to get more people, a little bit more exposure. So it's definitely not spam.
It's not. But come join us though.
Yeah,
give us a try.
Give us a listen.
Yeah.
Give us a try.
Our terrible production value. I mean, our great opinions and funny laughs, and me always hating everything that they like. I mean, it's wonderful.
Hey, I think our production values is starting to improve. Hey, I did a thumbnail for the first time in our last episode, and it might have been basic, but I think I did a pretty good job.
I think you did a great job.
You did a great job.
I'm trying to add a little bit of flair into the episodes here and there. So
Woo!
little bit of
flair.
Little bit of special stuff. I'm not there with the guys like we watch the movie guys and as fancy as the Sean Clark and the thing with two heads with Christopher.
When it starts paying for itself, then we'll worry about that.
Yeah,
exactly. We're doing this out of passion. We're doing this because we out of love. We're it's a podcast for the fans, by the fans, and that's what we are first and foremost. So
yes, we are.
All right. Well, all that being said, welcome to another episode, Postmortem Radio, joined again by the lovely Katie, the blonde in front, and Jay.
No. It's Qui-Gon Jay.
Qui-Gon Jay and his Force Ghost. Although with my other screen on here with this blue kind of hue on my face, it kind of looks like I'm like Obi-Wan looking at my lightsaber as Darth is approaching in the series, which hey, maybe we'll branch out and do an Obi-Wan. Since the Obi-Wan series is over, maybe that'll be our next episode. As excited as I was to see it and everything, and I love talking about it, so
Oz, I'm going to tell you
guys wanna do it?
something.
We'll do it.
Oz, Obi-Wan Kenobi was fantastic, but I'm going to sing the praises of something that was even more extraordinary that I saw. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Elvis is the best movie of the year.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. Don't tell me anything.
I won't. All I'm saying, this is not a spoiler for it. All I will say is that lately we've seen these kind of biopics, you know, because Elvis you can consider a biopic, even though I'm sure there's lots of creative license that Baz Luhrmann takes with the story. When you look at this movie, it blows away Bohemian Rhapsody. And it blows away even more Rocket Man. And Rocket Man was, don't even put the finger up there. I'll tell you something.
I actually enjoyed Rocket Man more so than Bohemian Rhapsody myself.
I did also.
Yeah.
I thought it was a much better film. And I'm not really a big, huge musical guy. Right. But I think as a film as a whole, I mean, I enjoyed it more. I think it was, even though it was I think there was more story. I think they did a lot more to show the dark part of and the tortured part of Elton that a lot of people weren't as familiar with.
Well, I agree with you. Wait, we're not here to talk Elvis.
We're not here to talk about Elvis.
No, it is phenomenal. We're here to talk something, and I will salute Terrence, the father, Jeremy Davies from the Black Phone. I salute him with whiskey. Sorry, bad humor, folks. Really bad humor. But you know what, though? It's that type of film. I'm sorry, it really is. Scott Dickerson and Cargill, the writer, they are not afraid to really allow him to unleash his inner 70s dad, or 80s dad, whatever it is.
It is true.
Very true. It was very hard to watch at some point in some parts. This was definitely with Blumhouse, it's like, I don't know. It's one of those Blumhouse movies tend to be one of those I either love them or I hate them. There's really no in between for me. So I always kind of go in a little with a little anxiety. But when this came out and everything that I had heard and how good it was, I was a little, had a little bit more hope. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Okay. As a whole. Now, did I have some issues with a couple of things? A very few things. There were some things that I loved about it, and there's a couple of things that I was just like, probably wouldn't have gone that way. Okay. And we'll get to that. But as we tend to do, we tend to go ladies first. Well, I was going to say, okay, go ahead, Jay. Ladies first. But okay, we'll let Katie go. We'll let Katie go as we tend to, as we are gentlemen here at Postmortem Radio. So we'll let the blonde in front lead the line and kick us off. What'd you think, Katie? How many times did you see this one?
I've only seen it once.
Just once?
I've only seen it once. I had a very busy weekend, but I would definitely see this again. Right now, I would say it's in my top 5, if not top 3 horror films of the year. I don't know. For me, it's definitely in the top 10 right now.
I would put it in my top 5 so far of the year, not even just in horror, because that's one thing that I kind of said leaked coming out of this film was, I don't really know that I would call it. I mean, yeah, it has horror tendencies, but I would kind of look at it. It had more of a psychological thriller feel to me.
Right.
Yes.
Definitely had a little bit of Stranger Things vibes, and at certain areas, especially at the towards the end, I kind of got that Silence of the Lambs vibe.
I actually have that. Well, it's definitely got that silence. Well, it's got a Silence of the Lambs moment when our main guy Finn gets taken, trying to help out somebody. We all know that's why I think it's horror. Anybody who ever tries to help anybody in a horror film always gets the shit end of the stick. Let's be honest. And then you got it's like to nail it as soon as you think, oh, there's hope. Oh, Finn's about to get out. What? They slam it with the Misery little nod.
You live in my misery!
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, but I knew he wasn't getting out. I was like, this movie's not going to be this short. I mean, there's no way.
Well, I mean, if we're going to do a recap, the movie, directed by Scott Derrickson and written by Scott Derrickson, see Robert Cargill, stars Ethan Hawke, Madeline McGraw, my number one girl right now. I love her. I want to be her. I want to be her when I grow up. Like, Gwen Blake is amazing. And Mason Thames, it's about a boy named Finn, who's 13, regular 13-year-old having a crap time in his school.
Getting bullied.
His dad's an alcoholic. His mom is dead. His sister is awesome, and they have a nice little relationship. But his dad beats them anytime they make a noise in the house. It's set in 1978 Denver. So there's a child abductor called the Grabber. I can't say he's a child murderer because you have to have a body to find.
That's a great point.
Yes, to differentiate that. Right now, there's 5 boys who have been taken. They've got no leads, nothing going on. And then Finn gets taken, and he's in this soundproof basement, which that's practically Silence of the Lambs right there. Soundproof basement. And the phone in the basement starts to ring. It's disconnected. Turns out it is the victims of the Grabber that are trying to help Finn out every way they can to make sure that he does not become another victim. Jay, tell me, what do you want to say?
No, I just say spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Sorry.
Hey, we are awful of we are a spoiler podcast. Okay.
Oh my
Lord.
We always do
that's
spoilers.
technically not spoil. That's in the trailer.
True.
Okay. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. People, you're not anal. We just went over how people are anal retentive on spam. Okay.
That's true.
How do you think they're going to be about this stuff? Come on.
Hey, I don't feel sorry for them because I put it in very, very plain. Every episode we launch, spoiler review, ... spoiler, all caps. It's all over the place. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want anything spoiled, pause it right now, come back after you see the film and listen to the rest of it.
Which is
and then see what you see if you agree with what you think. Drop your comments, whatever, you'll get them right on the radio or on the show.
So now that is all of this is in the trailer. So now these are things that are not in the trailer. One, Ethan Hawke does an amazing job, which, I mean, you don't need to have that in the trailer, but it's obviously true. Tom Savini's masks are amazing. Ethan Hawke being creepy as fuck without doing anything. By the way, I hope we can swear. I guess not. Okay, whoops.
We carry explicit. So we're good. I always put it's not for kids.
Yeah. There's a supernatural element in the film. I know some people may have an issue with that. I personally do not. This is why. It is 1978 Denver and kids are being taken. Let's think about that. There's no DNA evidence. They barely have stuff where they can get fingerprints. So when people are missing, they are gone. Like,
this is in the realm of the same time period of like the famous or infamous, I should say, serial killers like Ted Bundy that were getting away with these kind of things that you'd never get away with nowadays with like you mentioned, Katie, DNA and I mean, things like that.
It's also with, being in Chicago, who's a kind of famous clown who used to
Mr.
pick
Gacy.
up young boys and do stuff, and he was never caught until they just happened to get someone got away. Gacy, which there's a number of things that are very similar to that. Some people, like I said, could complain about the supernatural. I don't, because they need to find something to help these kids get away. Fine. That's what I like about the horror aspect of it. It's like, and if people complain, it's like, well, why is it like that? You know what I say? Reasons. Let's think about some horror films that have some. How did Michael Myers know how to drive? Reason. Right. How did Jason die?
Know how to swim.
Yeah, die 25 years before or 15 years before Friday 13th, and then he's alive in Friday 13th Part 2. Reason.
Wait, hold on. How does Jason give such nice hugs? That's all I'm saying, okay? He's a hugger, man. He's a hugger. They took it the wrong way, you know?
All I know is that I like that they kept moving it forward. And one of the aspects that makes that work is the performance by the sister, played by Madeline McGraw, Gwen Blake.
She was amazing. She stole the show.
She stole the movie. I thought that as soon as I got done, when I was tagging stuff in it regarding the film on Instagram and whatnot, I was looking at James Ranson, who has a small part. It's an integral part. I love him. I love that he and Ethan Hawke, this is like, I think the 5th or 6th film that they've been in. I want them to have like a franchise because I love their chemistry together. He even said, he's like, this film is great. I'm so lucky. But the person who stole the film is Madeline McGraw. Hands down, yes. 100%. I like the fact that 100%. There's not so much blood or gore, but what you see is very effective. And this is the biggest spoiler, and I don't care what anyone else says about this. Spoiler, 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 spoiler. I like that this has a, can I curse?
Absolutely.
I like that this has a goddamn actual happy ending. I think you can name like 5 films where in horror where there's an actual happy ending. And I think is Finn probably going to go to therapy? Yes. Is he going to be locked in a mental institution like anyone else who survives most horror films? No. Is he probably going to make if they work this right, could he make a lot by making a book later on? Yes. But the fact is, it's like he won. He overcame like his insecurities, his fears with the help of the victims that the grabber, that didn't make it because they want to make sure that Finn could get away, and he won. And that's something you don't see in a lot of horror films. So I'm very happy with the ending. I'm very happy he got a little bit of his bravado when he gets back to school and he's like, hey, what's up? You can call me Finn. I'm like, good for him, dude. Good for you. I like that it's got the silver bullet aspect to it. It's got a little bit of Babadook, a little bit of Misery, a little bit of Silence of the Lambs and Videodrome. And yeah, and also Sinister, but I dug this movie. I did this movie a lot, and I can't wait to see it again.
Okay, wow, that was a mouthful. All right, I'll let you go before I chime in there, Jay. What do you have to say?
First of all,
what do you disagree with? Because that's what we should.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate Jason Blum and Ryan Turek and everyone at Blumhouse. I myself, even though I'm going to rip it apart a little bit, I really enjoyed the Black Phone. I enjoyed it for a lot of reasons, and more, which we'll talk about. But Blumhouse got something right, Oz. Evil dies tonight.
Oh God.
I'm so happy.
See, that's the one. Okay. Real quick. The one thing I was a little disappointed about. Well, no
Michael Myers, right?
The first thing I was disappointed about. I was expecting a Halloween Ends trailer.
Oh, stop! Please stop. Halloween Ends. It should have ended like a decade ago. Just saying.
Right. Okay, but did you guys catch how they changed the Blumhouse? Banner, and it starts off now with Michael Myers and pulls back.
Oh boy, yeah, just like they're going to get Robert Englund to do Freddy Krueger again. Please.
I don't want. I like
that in my screening.
They didn't do that, really. The Blumhouse.
They sent out a press thing this week also for it about the aspect of Blumhouse and stuff.
I like the original one with the spinning chair and the creepy girl walking by.
Exactly.
They changed it completely.
That's indie. They're Academy Award winning. Okay, sorry, we can't have that. That's indie. I'm sorry, we can't have that. Plus, we have to rehash every horror icon out there now to be a Blumhouse movie. Just saying.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
moving
forward with this, I have to say I loved it. Everything Katie said in the recap of it is spot on with it. Now, I have my share of issues, including them ripping off American Guinea Pig and Stephen Biro and the look of the actual characters from that film when Ethan Hawke as the grabber is sitting there with the belt in the chair with his shirt off, popping his pecs out, waiting for the kid to run upstairs. So hats off to films like American Guinea Pig, which had that look way before this film did. Now, one thing that was not mentioned was this is a Joe Hill short film or
True.
short story, excuse me. That's one of the things. No, that's okay. That's okay. When it comes to it, and it comes from a great source, of course, for those who know who Joe Hill is, Stephen King's son. Probably most of all you know that, so my apologies, don't want to insult you. But it's a great short story. Mm-hmm. It's one that Cargill and Scott Derrickson took and they ran with. Now, with that aside, I'll tell you what, all the performances I enjoyed a hell of a lot. I mean, every character came in there, they served their purpose. There wasn't really any kind of side characters. Even the bullies served the purpose, which was nice. Mm-hmm. And then to see the twist when it all happens. Anyway, I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah.
My problem.
Twist.
Well, a little bit, when he walks through and he's all empowered through the school and all the bullies cower and then they go away, then they come back and stuff like that. It's nitpicking. My apologies. So my problem with this film is, I'm sorry. The kid in the room, the supernatural element, the idea of him going through the Home Alone kind of sequence. Are we going to play the Keystone Cops music soon too? Because there are so many things with that. I mean, hats off to the editor for kind of butchering this. I had a big problem with the way that the editor butchered this. James Ranson's scene where the cops come in there and he goes, spoiler alert, I know it's in this neighborhood. You could have utilized that comedy a lot earlier. One of the problems with the Black Phone is there's not enough beats. It's straight tension and drama. There's some heartwarming stuff in the first act, but after that, it rolls into a very tense ride. And the problem with it is you can't have a tense ride without those beats. And certain things like it ends up, spoiler alert, the grabber's brother who gets to the head, that's something that could have came sooner. The idea that this kid trying all these different things and not being able to get out of there. And my biggest criticism is, how does a steel grate or an iron grate hitting you in the head and you get right back up? Come on. Well, let's be a little honest about this. The idea of the window, getting out of the window, it's great. I get it. He's a child, but you know what? I have a lot of issues with the fact of those scenes in the room. I have a lot of fact with the character development. I have a lot of issue with the fact of the rules of the game between him and the grabber. I just had a lot of issues with it. Did I enjoy it? Absolutely. Was it a fun movie to sit back and watch? Absolutely. Was it original horror? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. In a sense, it really is original horror, which I appreciate so much. And it really shows that Blumhouse, thankfully, they're not rehashing another horror icon from the grave. And they actually gave something that was appropriate to the audience out there. And it made $26 million, if I'm correct, over the weekend, which was a big opening for a film that probably cost maybe a couple $1 million at the most to be able to do. So as always, Jason Blum and company, they go out of their way to have the formula where it's cheap production that doesn't look cheap and then makes 10, 20 times the money. Even a film like The Gallows, which was not considered a box office success, less than a decade ago, still made money because guess what?
Still got a sequel.
Exactly. The overhead is low and they're able to move forward. Authentic wise, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it felt very authentic. It fitted a lot. And I thought Ethan Hawke was fantastic. My big challenge again with it is those scenes inside with the weed. What was the kid's name again?
Finn.
Thank you. Finn. With Finn being in there, I had issues with it because I felt that while it was good that he was going step by step with the telephone, it seemed like he was almost a stupid kid being in there. Yes, he's kidnapped. Yes, we're supposed to suspend disbelief. But the simple fact is that when we look at this here, it was more the fact that the supernatural element aided this kid than this kid could ever do anything on his own. And if I want a story of a kid being kidnapped and escaping from there, I need a little bit more from the kid. Now, people are going to argue and say, oh, there's bits and pieces. It's a supernatural platform this kid is doing. Yeah. And it's so, and they use the idea that this is the last phone call we'll ever make from this phone. Please stop. You're killing me here.
Yeah,
you're ruining
a great point.
Movie, I mean, with this sort of things like that. Sorry to be nitpicky, folks, but guess what? That's my job.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too, because as well as the performance did, he did very well, but like you said, everything was aided to him by the supernatural aspect. Not really anything that he didn't come up with anything really on his own.
Right.
It was all the other kids who put together pieces for him. And then the final victim, I guess, of the grabber that what he had befriended was the guy who kind of finally gave him the kick in the ass, I guess, that he needed to actually, sack up and do something about it. And you know what? That was kind of my thing about it too, was that I enjoyed was like, he may not get out. It may not work, but you know what? He's going to go down swinging. So, I mean,
but that's the thing, though. That's the thing, Oz. And again, this character, Finn, was not, you really felt sympathy for him because of the situation he was in.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, his motivation for Gazer is he's a punching bag. Really? Come on. You gotta kind of rework what you're doing here and empower this kid a little bit more than that, because it ends up that the sister looks way stronger than he could ever look. And that's fine. She really is that catalyst for the story outside. But you know what? I don't think so. I have something else, but Katie, go ahead.
No, I think that was the point. That it's like throughout the film, he's a punching bag at school. Like he has one friend that gets him out of situations. And when that friend beats the crap out of that bully, like to a pulp, it's like, I thought that was bookending those scenes. It's like you see that kid Robin beat Moose to a freaking pulp. I mean, he's practically beating, he's practically beating his nose in. And then at the end, it's like, he knows. It's like when Robin's telling him, it's like, this is your last chance. You got to do this. It's like when he's hitting the grabber, it's like, he's just going to hit him and hit him and hit him and hit him and hit him.
Right.
It's like, no, if I don't do this, I'm done. It's
right,
like,
because if he doesn't, he's got to hit him and keep hitting him so that he doesn't get up.
Yeah.
And if he gets back up, he's done. He already got out once and the guy stopped him, which was a big issue for me when I'm watching the film. Okay, guy's chasing you in a van. Why are you running down the sidewalk? Why wouldn't you run into a backyard somewhere that the guy can't drive?
Oh, run towards the chainsaws. It's okay. But I will say this, and this goes to both you're saying about the violence of it. The violence is misused in this film. The violence, you're showing all these strong bully type kids getting abducted by the grabber. Here's something that they should have done. This is where Blumhouse is the wrong studio for a film like this. There is no graphic violence of any children being hurt whatsoever. And this is a film where the grabber is killing kids, or at least the assumption that we're doing this. Now, do we want to see kids die on screen? Not kids that young. If they're teenagers in the woods, it's a different story. But this is a very vulnerable community. This is already a bad situation. And talk about throwing down that card of the abusive family and everything. And then all of a sudden turning the fire starter right in front of her eyes. Your mother had all these powers. And guess what? You have those powers and we don't like you. Anyway, spoiler alert, sorry. But the problem is that we should have seen, even in flashbacks, that violence and those terrible things that Ethan Hawke did to at least one of these kids. We don't have to see it. We could see it in a blurred POV. We could see it in something assumed. We could see it in shadow, whatever it is. But that's the problem with Blumhouse. They want to be family-friendly horror for the most part. And that's a challenge when you have a very graphic story about kids dying. When kids die, even though you don't want to see it, it's like a car wreck. And you're going in there, you're going to want to see something. And where they use all the violence of all the bully kids who are easily abducted and killed by the grabber. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I want to correct you on that because
Please.
technically there's only one kid who's a bully, yet he really isn't a bully. Robin, I don't feel like was a bully. He was actually fighting against the bullies. And then the kid who beat Finn at baseball, I don't feel like was a bully. And then
no, he wasn't a bully.
Katie, you're right. You're right. So that leads to another thing I want to bring up also. What's the rhyme or reason for abducting these kids?
that was the other thing that I don't think. I don't know.
Scarier when there's no
what reasons. What's the reason? Reasons.
Exactly. Because he needed a new mask and the kid had a mask. Come up with some reason, please. Come on.
Because they were better actors than the kids who were shitheads and we wouldn't care about. Because
the grabber doesn't like Stranger Things.
I don't want to say it's like The Bedroom Window, that movie where the guy was like looking every woman who had like, was the main girl, stuff, he would kidnap her and steal her. Spoiler if no one's seen that, it's like from 1987 or something like that. But I mean, Robin was the big man on campus, and then he got abducted. The kid who won the baseball game, he got abducted. I'm not sure if it's because of that. One of the things I like, another thing I like about this film that kind of goes away from the tropes, there's absolutely no backstory regarding the grabber. And I think, again, that's something about child abduction. You don't need to have, it's like, well, maybe it's because of this, or maybe it's because of that. It's like, or maybe it's just shitty. Maybe it's like they're just taking a kid who I don't know why. And it's like the parents don't know why. The cops don't know why.
Because they're like, preying on a parent's worst nightmare. Right there,
because and it's like that's one of the things. Like, this is the late 70s. Like I said, you got nothing. I watched so many true crime things, and it's like, and here's Becky. She went to 7-Eleven, but she didn't make it, and we never saw her again.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, and there's thousands and tens of thousands of stories like that. And it's like, now is different. I mean, you can track everybody. It's like, here's Becky. First she went to the bathroom, then she went and got some gum, then she went and did this, and then she went, it's like, oh, she's over there. She's over. We found her. We found her. It's no big deal. We found her. I mean, that's the thing when people say, how come they keep making these horror movies, in the 70s or 80s? Like, because you didn't have this technology that could track you everywhere.
Right. But we will say this, though, Oz, the grabber, he's a hell of a real estate agent. So I will say that. He
is. Look at that. I mean, 1978 Denver. Damn. I mean, you guys got to realize, though, you could work a part-time job in the summer and pay for tuition at college. So, I mean, this is a whole different era where you can like handle like multiple mortgages and stuff like that. So you got that going. But there is the one fault I will say. It's supposed to be November in Denver. No.
There was no snow.
No, there's no one really wearing a coat. I mean, give me a break.
There's the one she wore the one coat when it was raining most of the time. She was in that scene where she's on the bike in the rain. But other than that, she's got one other scene where she's got the rainbow colored coat on.
It was filmed in North Carolina.
Exactly. Which that's the thing that I wrote down. I mean, I didn't know about the North Carolina. I knew later on, because I wrote down, it's like, oh, filmed in North Carolina. When they say 1978 Denver, I'm like, yeah, I don't care what year it is. That's not November in Denver. It's like, I wear heavier coats when I'm visiting there in mid-October. Like, you're going to be cold. Those kids are cold.
Well, going back, I've heard you guys mention several times, 1978 Denver. The one thing that I really pulled away and was talking about this right away leaving the theater was how well the production was. I mean, from the cars, the wardrobes, the hairstyles, everything. I mean, everything. It looked legit. I mean, even down to the details of the chain link fences, because back in those days, I remember when I was a kid back then, the chain link fences were different back then than they are today. And this film just really embraced that grit of the 70s I mean, it looked it. I mean, it was the real deal, right down to the details on the Sprite bottle. I mean, it even got the Sprite bottle right. I mean, I was so impressed with that. I really was, because believe me, I was looking for something that I could pick out and be like, nah, you wouldn't see that. Not in '78, you wouldn't see that. But I couldn't find anything as far as production. The production team on that, they nailed it. They hit that one out of the park.
No, I agree. Great point, especially when they went in that convenience store. It's like you see, because I mean, believe me, that convenience store, that is a production designer's like nightmare. And also it's like, all right, let's see what I can do, because this is where the true test of it. And I mean, every single thing in there is like, damn, that takes some research. I did like what you said, Jay, about James Ranson. I wish he would have been sprinkled in a little bit more, because honestly, once he was there and once he was talking about that stuff, to me, it was like, okay, one, this seems like this is a retro version of Don't Fuck with Cats. And two, I'm pretty sure he's a brother. I'm pretty sure that he's living in that house and all that stuff, which he's coked up. He's asleep at night. I get it. I mean, I don't for sure, but.
Sorry, hold on a second. Hold on.
I get it. I mean, if you're doing coke all day long, you're probably going to be dead to the world, like come 7:00.
But I will say this though, if you were someone who was on drugs, and then none of us do drugs, but I will say, if you're in the perfect town for the Keystone Cops, because those cops had no idea what was going on. They had no idea what to do. And I'll tell you what, man, you know what? If they knew how bad those kids got beat because she talked to the police, it's like, oh God, I shake my head. And again, you know, there's tropes that you follow with every horror film, and the cops who have no idea what to do is a classic one. But you brought up the score, Katie. Mark Corvin, fantastic. I mean, this film, you know, nitpicking aside, and some of it's tongue in cheek, some of it is legitimate, but the score is one of the great elements of this film. And Scott and Cargill, I mean, they're such a great team, and they bring amazing stories together. And I can't wait. And I really, watching The Black Phone really makes me sad, because I really wish they would have handled the Multiverse of Madness, because it would have legitimately had that edge to it. That Sam Raimi is great. I enjoyed the film. We didn't get a chance to talk about it because I was going to change to like 10 shirts in like 30 seconds to go in the different dimensions I was in. But that aside, I would have loved to have seen what they could have did with the follow-up for Doctor Strange 2. And the Black Phone, no matter what it is, they are an incredible team, and they deserve all that whole production team deserves.
Absolutely.
Because it's authentic. It's beautiful in certain instances. It's really scary in other ones. It's, you know, the music is just amazing. I mean, there's just so much, minus the editor. Okay, I'm not going to even get into the.
It honestly, you pointing out that it does make me think that maybe there was a longer version out there, and they cut a lot. Because honestly, I will say there may have been some elements of the film that I missed, especially when it came around the time of Mason Thames. Is that his name?
Right.
So yes. Because you guys, every time I saw him on screen, all I could think of is that he is a doppelganger of Brad Renfro. Like, it is freaking me out how identical this kid looks like Brad Renfro at that age. And every time he would say something like, my God, you just look like the kid from The Client. It's like I'm freaking out. I can't focus on a lot of stuff. It's like
freaking out, man.
I'm freaking out, man.
But I will say this: I just looked it up. The editor for it, I believe his first name is Frederick. It looks like a German name, so I'm not going to butcher it. But he edited Sinister back in 2012. So this is someone that Scott's
he knows
worked
what
with
he's
before.
doing. Yeah,
he does. But the rest of his movies seem to be all action, thriller type movies. So I'm not necessarily sure he was the right person for this film.
Yeah.
Just me, but Sinister is one of my favorite films of the last 20 years. I mean, you know, if you compare Sinister to this film, I'm sorry, Sinister is head and shoulders above what The Black Phone is, in my opinion. You know, even though I think The Black Phone is a really great film, I don't think it's top 5. I think maybe it's top 10 for the year. But I'm tapping into a lot of film festival stuff too. So my stuff is a little bit wider.
Well, and that's true too, because you guys have seen a lot more films than I've got.
No, and Oz, it's not too, Oz. So. Don't say that, because that has nothing to do with the fact you think it's top 3. If you think it's top 3 and it's that good, more power to you in what you like. It's just the fact that for me, you know, nitpicking aside, it just, for me, it was just not as it maybe if I go back and watch it again, I'll be able to absorb it more, because you watch a film 3 times, one for the hype, one for the actual film itself, and then one for the details. So that's always my rule of thumb.
I mean, hey, it took me it took me right before I did our critique of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new one, to realize that he freaking changed his outfit before. It's like, wait a minute, he didn't. You changed your clothes before you went on the rampage? What?
You
had a wardrobe change? What kind of madness is this? No, but I think Cargill, Derrickson, Hawk, and Ranson honestly are my favorite horror 4. And I would love to see them do more things. I love Sinister. I love that even after 10 years, that scene with the backyard stuff and mowing the lawn and whatnot, that scene still makes me jump. It still makes me jump, because that is some damn fine editing. And it's like, that's what I love when they do that. It's stuff that you don't need to see and let your mind like mess with you. That's actually the bigger element. And, you know, that can do more damage than anything. I haven't seen American Guinea Pig though. So that's
you gotta see.
That's one of those like version. Extreme horror films, isn't it?
Yes, it's very extreme.
Yeah,
it's a remake of the Japanese guinea pig series. Stephen Biro does a tremendous job. Marcus Cook is on effects, if I remember correctly. It's just disturbing, and you probably don't want to watch it. But once you see it, even if you look at the cover box art for it, you'll see what I'm talking about with the way that it kind of resembles what the grabber looks like when the first time he's sitting there with the belt in the kitchen with his shirt off and his muscles popping out of his skin there with it.
Okay.
And I will say this, Ethan Hawke, and this is something that Robin Williams did really well. Ethan Hawke knows how to cultivate a really creepy character.
Yes.
Robin Williams knew how to cultivate a really creepy character. If you've never seen 1 Hour Photo, and especially listen to the commentary with him and the director on the Blu-ray, it's fantastic, because Robin Williams, just like Ethan Hawke, and this goes to most professional actors who understand how to really get to the meat and bone of a character. It's, you know, the grabber could have just been generic, but every time you look at him, the visual is not very overwhelming, except in certain tense situations. The Mask says a lot. Tom Savini's work is great. Someone else, it's him and someone else, I don't know off the top of my head who designed the masks beyond
Baker.
Savini.
Something
Mason Baker. I think Mason, I want to say,
or
but
Jason
you're right.
Baker. I think it's Jason Baker.
Could be Jason Baker. But the masks, I mean, the different incarnations of the mask throughout, representing his feelings, the idea of his eyes, the voice, the fluctuation of the tone of his voice. I mean, his movements, the idea, the ferocity of him sitting there with no shirt on with that belt. That's truly one of the most suspenseful and scary moments of this film. And there's a lot of scary, scary moments that really are on top of the foundation of kids being abducted, kids being, you know, doing stuff. But I'll tell you what, Ethan Hawke, I mean, he's just a great character actor, and he does tremendous in this antagonist role.
Agreed. Creepy as fuck. And I mean, you know, what is this? Is this a little familiar? Yeah, a little bit of Sinister, like in the basement. I noticed that right away when they had that. It was like, oh, I see what you're doing there. And I like, and I mentioned this, I just like the fact that they don't have the backstory. They don't give a fault, or they don't give that any sort of empathy towards the grabber of why this is happening. It's like, oh, this happened to me. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know why you're doing evil
like
things.
I said, it's always a little bit scary and unknown.
Yeah, I don't want it to justify why you're doing these things. And the whole, like, how there's a possibility they sort of do a glimpse of maybe a dissociative disorder. And again, I don't want to know if you're going to, I think this is a good standalone film. If they're going to do any sort of like addition to it, maybe a prequel, if it's not Ethan Hawke before, if they did it like 20 years before all this stuff happened, and it was like a young it was supposed to be a younger Ethan Hawke, like Dane DeHaan, that could handle that character. I could see that. I mean, that was something I said on Friday when I was like rolling off my tongue. I think he'd be a good cast for that. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this, and Blumhouse, if you're listening, I'd be happy to write the script for you, because I'm going to tell you the prequel itself is really simple. You have another identified antagonist, and the last surviving victim is the grabber. And this is the prequel to what's going to happen.
That's a really good formula for it.
It's survival victim
of the fittest,
remorse.
Yeah,
whatever it is, something like to that effect.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we wrap things up, because I've had a couple of things that I wanted to bring out there, but I was kind of letting you guys have your say. But there was a couple of things. One thing that really I came away with this thing kind of disappointed was, and you kind of mentioned it, Jay. You mentioned a twist. And that's where I kind of was like, what twist? Because I didn't see a twist anywhere in this film. I kept looking for it, and I kept waiting for it. And I think I thought I saw it coming when I thought that what a great ending it would have been. I know, Katie, you said you're so happy it was a happy ending and everything. I was fully expecting when Finn walked out of that house, and she's running up to him, that Finn was actually dead. And that she was going to go through him.
I like that.
Everything was going on. It was her and her head. And Finn was buried down in the basement.
I like that.
And then everything that we saw with Finn going on was in essence a flashback.
Wow.
That was kind of the way I was.
And can I add on to that, Oz? Can I add on to that? Because I think that's really great. And what we see through the entire thing is the cops watching the VCR tape of all the horrible things the grabber did to him. That would have been perfect to punctuate it. The kid runs out, and that would have been perfect for it. God, speaking of Henry, Henry behind you.
I was sitting next to Janelle, and I was like, Finn's dead. I was like, he's not.
Oh,
he's really dead. That. But another thing I wanted to say too, that I really, really did enjoy, that I liked about this film was, we've seen films in the past where, it's ghosts or white noise or whatever, communicating via phones or radios or whatever. I really, really liked the inclusion of the spirit or ghost or whatever you want to call it in the room where we could see it, but he couldn't see it. I thought that was really clever and really cool. I really, really like that.
I'm one of those ghosts. That's what it is. I'm one of those ghosts.
Yeah, but
hold on, victim. I'm going to change my name.
My favorite, was definitely Madeline McGraw. From the moment when she was in the principal's office. And what did she call them?
Fucking fart knockers.
Yes. I was like, oh my God, this kid. I was like, I love it. I fell in love with that girl right then and there. I was like, I love this girl. I mean, that was hysterical. And she was her and Mason Thames kind of, in essence, I know they carried, in my opinion, the film. Ethan Hawke, he did a great job. I mean, as he always does, but it's kind of expected. It wasn't really like in my face shocking that he was as good as he was. I kind of expected that. What I didn't expect was them to be as, wow, really be wowed by the kids.
That unified team that they were.
Right. So, that is my only really nugget that I would like nitpick at is the lack of a real twist. Everything was kind of going the way you expected it to go, and it kind of ended the way you would hope it would go. But I've just always been a fan of like something's going to end different. You don't see it coming. Something's going to be something twisted. Either the person you think that you're rooting for to survive is really already dead, or something, some other kind of twist. And one other little thing that I did want to add, Jeremy Davies. It was kind of nice to see, even though he played an asshole and an abusive alcoholic father. It was I think it's a tribute to his talent, because it's a different role than I think I've ever seen him play. I've never seen him play anything like this before. And he's not in the film a whole lot, but what you see of him, man, I mean, you can feel his torment and his pain. I mean, and by the end of the movie, I mean, you start off, you're watching, you're like, man, this guy is a total dick. And then by the end of the movie, I'm kind of like, I kind of feel for the guy, because I mean, his wife died and she had this talent and he didn't understand it. And he's, been, grieving for her all this time, and he's got his kids. He just didn't know how to deal with all this pain, and he just packed it in. And unfortunately, we as human beings tend to, the people that we love and are closest to us are the ones who carry the brunt of, the pain that we can't, deal with in a healthy way. So you kind of sympathized for him a little bit, which I thought that was a nice little arc inside the film of itself. I thought
hurt people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I will say this though, and this goes to show you the modern take on a nostalgic story. If this was a movie that was made in the 70s or 80s, even the 90s, there would have been no underlining current that the mom had special powers, and this is the reason why the daughter had special powers. He would have just been an abusive piece of crap, because unfortunately, way back when, there were a lot of families that were like that, whether you wanted to admit it or not, whether or not it's ever come to the light of day. But I think that's the modern touch for the family audience of horror that Blumhouse goes after as well, where you look at it and say, we need to give justification and a redemption arc for this father after he beats them. I mean, that beating in the kitchen with the little girl, I mean, the way that bell comes down and her reaction, I mean, it really, it's painful to watch, and it pushes it a little bit, which the film needs a little bit of graphic violence to it, because you're dealing with such an extreme thing for a horror film. If this was a drama on Lifetime, yeah, I get it. You're not going to show anything. But this is a horror film, a rated R horror film. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's not PG-13. It's rated R, right?
I don't know. My screening said
it
was not rated, but I think it is rated R.
Hold on. I want to look it up. Hold on.
There's enough curse words.
Yeah, it's rated R. You have I know there's always a certain amount you can put in there before it pushes it too much, but you could definitely go ahead and push the envelope a little bit more, because you had a lot of things working real well. And again, for me, Oz, it's missing that graphic violent element in some form or vision of what this guy's did, because they're selling it on Ethan Hawke's character and he does a great job. But that kid killing him at the end, spoiler alert, was more graphic than anything he did through the entire film. That neck breaker with the belt, more graphic than that kid, than anything the grabber did. And that's a fault of this film, because I don't want him to go on a bloody path and butcher people, but I do want to see why he is so feared and so terrified. It's so terrifying.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I don't.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Hey, I'll bring some black balloons to your house. Okay.
There you go. Bring the black balloons. No, I don't agree, but that's why we do this. And I think,
exactly.
I think the reason why they don't show the violence is so you have the end. So rather having the adult with that violence of the kids, even one or two, you know, and you see the aftermath of his violence.
Yeah, you see the scars on the kids, the victims,
blood
so
and stuff like that. And like the kid, I thought there was like a kid like dangling around and stuff that was like dripping blood.
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
He saw
so
that when he shined the light. The
main violence is the kid on kid stuff, and then Finn on the grabber. I mean, that, no offense, the kid on kid violence was freaking brutal. I mean,
I agree with you.
Each of those fights, and then you've got the 3-on-1 with Finn, and the fact that Gwen took a rock and crushed that guy in the head, and then
how he was conscious, just sitting there next to her.
Like that's pretty freaking brutal. And then,
but wait, hold on a second, Katie. Hold on a second. And this goes exactly to what I'm saying right now. We're talking kid on kid violence. Okay. Yeah. Back then, maybe extreme level, like Battle Royale, maybe there was that kind of violence. My problem with everything that's going on with this is that if I'm going to see a horror movie and I'm going to see it about a character called the Grabber who's doing terrible things, I want to see a little visual representation. I'm sorry. But if you're the biggest focus of violence is kid on kid violence, the film fails as a horror film. Then it fails. I'm sorry, it does. You got to give me more. And you know what? I forgot, and I forgot about the kid that was floating there in the air and he was all bloody, and that's fine. Little glimpses like that. But I want to see more. I want to actually see the Grabber's hands get dirty. That's what I want to see to show that there is more to it. Because I'll tell you what. If this was longer than 90 minutes, I'm not sure that it's as successful and we're loving it as much as we are now.
And I think, because my thing is like whenever the kids would talk about the games that he would do, and it's like just explaining that to Finn, it's just everything in my mind is showing me what he did without that happening. So that's like my thing that I feel like they wanted to let the viewer's imagination do that without.
I think I kind of took it that way too.
Yeah, without actually showing that. And I mean, that's
fine.
That's fine.
There's
and I get what you're saying.
What I will say about the kid on kid violence too is that back in the day, back in like the, you know, when I was growing up, back in this day, kids got in fights. There was no, I'm running to my mom's going to sue your mom, my dad's going to kick your dad's. No, you basically, there was a sense of pride that people don't have nowadays. Like I would rather take an ass beating than go run to somebody. And, you know, that's just how it was. That's just, kids just did it. I mean, everybody had the kid on the block and knew, you know, that's the kid you stay away from or whatever, you know, that's just how it was.
Oz, I'll finish up this with my part because I know we're coming up on it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, this film could have ended maybe 40 minutes earlier. All the kid had to do was break the bottle and use the bottle as a weapon. You put glass bottles in there that can be broken, but he's got to go all home alone to fix all these traps. Come on. Sorry.
Good, very good point. I didn't think about that. Very, very good point.
Sorry. He can't use it as a way to escape. Come on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, break that bottle, and when you're going up the stairs after you pick that lock,
throw it at the window. Break the window. Come on.
No, man. No. You break that bottle and you shove it in his throat. That's what you do. That's how you do it. And then you get out.
Oz, how do you know this stuff?
I've seen a lot of horror movies, bro.
Well done. Well said.
All right. Any final words, guys, before we wrap up this episode? It's been fun. It's been great.
I say go see it.
I agree.
Definitely
go see it again. It's definitely one of the better movies that we've talked about this year.
Yes.
With its faults or not, I do see it. And
the faults are minimal. It's definitely a thumbs up for me.
Yeah, the casting is the best part of this. So thumbs up.
Absolutely.
Thumbs up, and not only thumbs up, but support independent horror. Blumhouse puts out some really great films every year. This is one of the better ones of the year, and again, it's wonderful to be able to see.
There you go, Jay. Now you're gonna make me have to tweet this out and tag Jason Blum in it so he can. Maybe he'll listen to our episode. I don't know.
Maybe he will, but he's a very cool guy. I can attest to that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, and if you haven't got your tickets already for Horror Hound Cincy, September 9th through the 11th, make sure to be there. We will all three be there. Come see some cool films at the film festival. Jay's got something last minute. Jay's got something. Actually, I guess now's where I should be playing the. I should insert the Jeopardy music while we're waiting for Jay.
Yeah, come to Horror Hound because I know the.
Oh,
look at that!
I got to get one of those in case I ever, by some odd chance.
Jason Blum love.
I would love to have him sign it and get one and sign it.
I am not being a kiss ass right now. It's lots of love and dedication because no matter however you feel about Blumhouse, they do a damn good job of supporting independent horror. Just saying.
Yeah, they do, and they did it.
I know it's on there, right?
You know what though? I did rip him a new one. I did rip him a new one back when Ma came out because he had put out a tweet or something about how great it was and original and everything, and I just totally tore him up afterwards.
Hey, you know what? Again, he came through. Evil died tonight in the Black Phone.
We're never going to get rid of that, are we?
No.
Nope, never.
Jesus.
Yeah,
every film.
Come say hi to us at Horror Hound Film Festival.
Yes. Absolutely, yes. Come see us. We will all be there.
Movies.
And since we didn't do our Top Gun episode, I had to wear my I was inverted shirt for because I was inverted.
Done. Congratulations, Tom Cruise, $1 billion this past weekend.
$1 billion. I mean, that's
have you guys heard it?
Out a month.
Quick. I gotta ask you this. Have you guys heard this? I didn't hear about this until about last week. Somebody asked me, "Have you heard about this conspiracy theory about Maverick? That the whole movie he really died when he went up and to do that, and he in that test when the test plane crashed, and the entire movie is his life flashing before his eyes."
I did not hear that, but I heard that's the premise for Grease. So
I was like, that's kind of would be interesting. I hope. I don't think that's what it is, but
where's Haley Joel Osment? He'll be able to tell us. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what? Then at the end, should they have done the thing where they show the fighter pilots, like they show the planes going, and then you actually go to the gravesite and it's Maverick's name on a tombstone, and it says when he died, so that we know
that would be awesome.
It was all a dream.
Oh my God, JR,
just like Dallas, exactly, just like Dallas,
yeah.
Which no one will understand that listens to this. Hey, no one is probably going to listen to this is going to understand.
Bob's Newhart show, folks.
Yeah, I used to watch it, but my big thing too with Top Gun. They should have had. I'm sorry, but Slider would have been at Iceman's funeral, unless he's dead.
No,
unless he's
all
dead.
of them would have been at Iceman's funeral. I think. I mean, if we're going to talk that was a prime nostalgia little cameo thing. None of those guys had to speak. All you had to do, Hollywood, Slider, Merlin, all these
Tim
guys.
Robbins,
See them in the crowd. No.
Bring John Stockwell back, man? He said that they were like brothers in flight.
Didn't we talk about this like last week?
We did.
We talk about this last episode?
Did we? Oh,
yeah.
He did. Yes. This is the era of nostalgic cameos. This would have been perfect.
We weren't recording, I don't think.
I think it was edited out. Just saying.
No,
I wasn't recording that. I would have thrown that in there as a bonus if we had been recording. So this will be a post credit scene.
There you go.
For the episode. All right. Well, thanks for again listening to Postmortem Radio. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter. Come see us at Horror Hound. It'll be a good time. Do a thumbs up, subscribe. We need it. We really do.
We need it. Bring it in, folks. Go see the Black Phone.
Go see the Black
Phone. Post any of your comments, man. Any questions, comments, anything like that. Maybe we just might read it on the next episode.
Tell me how right I am. Okay.
Don't encourage him.
Me.
All right. See you guys. Take care of yourselves. See you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.